Joe Biden was inaugurated as President of the United States on January 20th, 2021. After the inauguration, the new president got to work on his first day, signing an astounding 17 executive orders, presidential memoranda, and agency directives, 9 of which are direct reversals of Trump policy. He tweeted, using a non-suspended Twitter account, "There is no time to waste when it comes to tackling the crises we face. That's why today I am heading to the Oval Office to get right to work delivering bold action and immediate relief for American families." While Biden campaigned as a moderate who prefers unity, cooperation, and compromise, his actions on his first day as president sent a clear signal of how he intends to operate. Of course, it's not just the number of actions, but their contents that really matter. So in this video, I'm going to break down all 17 of Biden's Day 1 executive actions. Do they indicate that Biden will be a leader who prefers moderation and a return to normal? Or do they paint a far more imposing portrait? Will he be a president of change? A number of Biden's executive actions address the most urgent crisis facing the United States today, the COVID-19 pandemic. The first of these actions issues a 100-day masking challenge, asking Americans to wear masks for, you guessed it, 100 days. The order also requires that masks are used and physical distancing is implemented on all federal lands and in all federal buildings, as well as by federal contractors, and urges state and local governments to implement the same policy. The purpose of this policy is to keep infection rates as low as possible, as Biden's team works towards a goal of issuing 100 million vaccination shots over the next 100 days. Also connected to COVID is Biden's reversal of the Trump administration's withdrawal from the World Health Organization. This action also names Dr. Anthony Fauci as the head of America's delegation to the World Health Organization Executive Board. Reconnecting with the World Health Organization is an attempt to better involve America in the international response to the coronavirus pandemic. It's also a sign of what's to come with Biden holding the presidential reins. If Trump's approach to foreign policy was protectionism, isolationism, and an America First philosophy, Biden's approach will likely be a substantial reversal, a rejoining of international organizations with America at the helm and the president as leader of the free world. A separate action creates a new position in the White House, a COVID-19 response coordinator, reporting directly to Biden, who will manage all aspects of the pandemic response across the government. This includes producing and distributing vaccinations, tests, and medical equipment. Also connected to the pandemic is Biden's action extending the existing nationwide moratorium on evictions and foreclosures at least until March 31st. He will also call upon Congress to extend the moratorium further. The federal moratoriums are meant to ensure that people can stay in their homes if they cannot afford to pay their monthly bills. Right now, according to the Census Bureau survey of households, almost 12% of homeowners with mortgages are late on their payments. In another order, Biden is attempting to provide another kind of financial relief. Biden is asking the Department of Education to extend its hold on federal student loan payments and interest through at least the 30th of September. This would extend a hold that began in March of 2020, but was previously set to end at the end of January. Borrowers owe a collective $1.5 trillion debt in these student loans, and some Democrats have asked for a massive debt cancellation. This order does not do this, but Biden has stated that should come from Congress. In another effort to reverse Trump's withdrawal from international organizations, Biden signed an order that will have the United States rejoining the Paris Agreement. The process will take 30 days before the country is officially reinstated. Also regarding the climate, Biden has canceled the Keystone XL pipeline. Biden's executive order directly reverses former President Trump's revival of the project after Obama rejected the pipeline in 2015. This same executive order also takes on a number of Trump's policies regarding the environment. It includes a temporary moratorium on Trump's oil and gas leasing in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. it reestablishes the Interagency Working Group on the Social Cost of Greenhouse Gases, requests that agencies consider revisiting fuel economy and emission standards to cut pollution, and orders all executive departments and agencies to immediately review and take action against any actions taken in the last 4 years that may be harmful to public health, damaging to the environment, or not in the national interest. Biden has signed an executive order that rescinds the 1776 Commission and directs agencies to review their policies to ensure racial equity. The 1776 Commission was an advisory committee established by then-President Donald Trump to support his view of patriotic education, in part as a response to the New York Times 1619 Project, which explores American history from the perspective of the Black community. Trump's commission included no professional U.S. historians, and its findings were widely criticized by historians who labeled the report pseudo-history. Biden's executive order did more than just cancel Trump's efforts to attack critical race theory, though. Federal agencies are required to deliver an action plan within 200 days to address unequal barriers to opportunity. The order also launches an equitable data working group, ensures the Office of Management and Budget will allocate federal resources in underserved communities, reduces language access barriers, and appoints Susan Rice with the position of Domestic Policy Advisor to hold the government accountable for all of these actions. Biden also signed an executive order to prohibit workplace discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. This order also directs federal agencies to take action to protect the rights of LGBTQ+ individuals. In yet another reversal of Trump-era policy, Biden signed an executive order to include non-citizens in the census. The once-a-decade census is used to determine the distribution of $1.5 trillion in federal spending each year, as well as the apportionment of congressional representatives. In response to Trump's efforts to undo protections for undocumented immigrants brought into the country as children, Biden signed an action meant to reinforce DACA. This presidential memorandum directs the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Attorney General to preserve the DACA program, which provides temporary relief from deportation on a case-by-case basis. Biden has also called on Congress to enact legislation that would provide a pathway to citizenship and permanent legal status for Dreamers. There are currently about 700,000 people enrolled in this program. Biden also signed an executive action that immediately ends the so-called Muslim ban. In one of his first acts as president, Trump banned the citizens of 7 mostly Muslim countries from entry into the United States. After lengthy court battles, a watered-down version of the rule was adopted in 2018. Biden's executive action instructs the State Department to renew visa processing for those affected. It also bolsters the screening and vetting of travelers through an increase in information sharing with foreign governments. Biden also revoked one of Trump's very first executive orders, which declared that all undocumented immigrants are considered priorities for deportation. Biden's executive order allows the Department of Homeland Security to conduct a review of their own enforcement policies. While Biden's campaign had promised a 100-day moratorium on deportations, this order does not do that. Instead, that particular decision is now being left up to the Department of Homeland Security. In what must be the most painful action for Trump and his supporters, Biden has also immediately halted the construction of the wall, rescinding the national emergency declaration used by Trump to fund its construction. This proclamation also allows for a review of the funding and contracting methods previously used, and opens the door to redirecting the funds elsewhere. Despite Trump's repeated claims that Mexico would pay for the wall, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, U.S. taxpayers have committed $15 billion for the construction to date. Biden has also signed a presidential memorandum to extend the deferrals of deportation and work authorizations for Liberians in the United States until June 30th, 2022. In yet another executive order, Biden requires all appointees in the executive branch to sign an ethics pledge with the goal of restoring and maintaining public trust in the government. The pledge bars appointees from using their official roles to act in their own personal interest and requires them to uphold the independence of the Justice Department. In his final executive action of day one, Biden issued a presidential memorandum against Trump's regulatory approval process. The memorandum directs the director of the Office of Management and Budget to modernize the regulatory review and approval process. Biden has since continued to roll out executive orders. On his second day in office, Biden issued another 11 executive orders and other actions, all related to the pandemic. These include mandating masks on public transportation, bolstering access to coronavirus treatments, boosting reliance on data for COVID response, increasing federal support for National Guard deployments, and shoring up the national medical supply chain. On his third day on the job, the president issued yet more orders, speeding up stimulus payments, bolstering food assistance, restoring collective bargaining power for federal workers, and laying the foundation for a $15 minimum wage. All told, in his first 3 days in office, Biden has signed 30 executive actions. It's clear that Joe Biden's first days in office have been busy, and I will note that while my own politics lie somewhat to the left of the new president, I generally support every one of these executive actions. Still, to enact many of his campaign promises, President Biden will have to go beyond easily reversible executive actions and actually pass legislation. Legislation will be required to pass a public option healthcare plan, to increase the federal minimum wage of $15, and to reverse Trump's corporate tax cuts. As one BBC reporter put it, executive action is the relatively easy part, however. For Biden to make lasting change, policies that can't be undone by future presidents, he will have to work with Congress to pass legislation on issues like pandemic relief, citizenship for undocumented migrants, healthcare reform, and voting rights protections. Biden is, of course, in no way limited to these executive actions when it comes to making change in the coming years. At least until the midterm elections 2 years from now, Democrats will control not just the executive branch, but also both houses of Congress. That means that essentially the president's party can pass whatever legislation they can agree on. The only check on their power will come from the Supreme Court, which is substantially conservative. Biden has consistently stressed a theme of unity in his public statements. It's clear he's interested in reaching across the aisle and working with Republicans to achieve his objectives. This is not particularly surprising for a politician with deep ties to the moderate New Democratic coalition of the party. Since the presidency of Bill Clinton, New Democrats have frequently sought to compromise with Republicans, who have often rejected the offer. Let's not forget that the last New Democrat to sit in the Oval Office, President Obama, also recommended creating a public option, but quickly acquiesced when Republicans and Blue Dog Democrats opposed the idea. After initially introducing the concept, Obama did not fight for his proposal. Even with this and other compromises, not a single Republican voted for the Affordable Care Act. In fact, the day after it passed into law, Republicans introduced legislation to repeal it. When that failed, Republicans tried, unsuccessfully, to repeal the bill again, more than 60 times. For the next 2 years, Democrats can avoid a repeat of this weakness. If Republicans refuse to cooperate with Biden's agenda, make no mistake, they can still get their legislation through. Even without a 60-vote supermajority in the Senate, they can still pass legislation and avoid a filibuster through a process called reconciliation. For the next 2 years, Biden will define what sort of president he intends on being. Will he prioritize procedure or policy? Will he be a president who insists on compromising with Republicans, even as they refuse to compromise with him? Will he pretend the filibuster is an unavoidable obstacle? Or will he learn the lessons of the past and insist on implementing the changes he was elected to enact? Will he go beyond a return to business as usual, and as he has promised to do, move the country forward? Will he be a president of change?
No, I don't wanna hear about your front. Lot of bad stories coming out of one joint. I met a true bookie in the state of my mind. Now I know a lot of rookies coming over for the title, but I don't wanna fight. I just roll the dice. Do it for the money, yeah, do it for the price. Take it like a man, I don't take advice. Putting money on the table like a